The elevator stopped so hard my coffee flew straight onto my white shirt. Perfect, I muttered under my breath, staring at the spreading stain while the lights flickered once, twice, then settled into a dim amber glow. And that's when I realized I wasn't alone. She stood in the corner of the elevator like she owned gravity itself. Tall, sharp black heels. Cream-colored designer coat draped over one shoulder. Dark hair tied back perfectly. Calm expression. The kind of woman who could destroy careers with a single sentence. Vivian Steele, CEO of Steele and Mercer Holdings. The most powerful woman in the building. Maybe the city. I'd only seen her from a distance before, surrounded by executives, lawyers, security, people too important to blink around her. Guys in my department called her the Ice Queen. Not because she was cruel, but because nobody had ever seen her emotional. The emergency lights buzzed softly. Then the elevator jerked again. I grabbed the railing instinctively. She didn't move an inch. "Relax," she said calmly, her voice smooth and low. "If it were falling, we'd already know." I laughed nervously. That's not comforting. For the first time, the corner of her mouth twitched. Not a smile. Almost one. I pressed the emergency button. Nothing. "No signal?" she asked. "Dead." The silence after that felt dangerously intimate. 30 floors above the city. No phones. No escape. Just me, and the woman everyone feared. Then suddenly the lights dimmed again. And in the reflection of the steel doors, I noticed something strange. Vivian Steele looked terrified. Not of the elevator. Of something outside it. And when she whispered, "They can't find me here," I realized this wasn't an accident. Something was very, very wrong. The air inside the elevator grew heavier by the minute. I loosened my tie and leaned against the wall while Vivian stood perfectly still, staring at the glowing floor numbers that hadn't moved in 10 minutes. "You really think someone did this intentionally?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. That bothered me more than if she had said yes. Finally, she crossed her arms. "You work on the 32nd floor, right?" I blinked. "How do you know that?" "I know everyone in my building." Of course she did. I worked in data management, basically invisible to executives. The kind of employee people forgot existed 5 seconds after meetings ended. Yet somehow she knew me. "Ethan Cole," she continued. 3 years with the company. You turned down an offer from Blackstone Analytics last spring. Now I was officially uncomfortable. You know way too much about me. That's my job." The emergency speaker crackled suddenly. Static. Then silence. Vivian's expression tightened. "Don't answer if it comes back on," she said quickly. I stared at her. "Why?" Before she could answer, the speaker buzzed again. A male voice came through. "Ms. Steele? Are you inside?" Her face instantly drained of color. She stepped backward slowly, almost instinctively moving closer to me. That tiny movement changed everything. Powerful people don't hide behind others. Unless they're truly afraid. "Vivian," the voice repeated. "We just want to help." She whispered without looking at me, "Do not respond." My heart started pounding. The voice sounded polite. Too polite. Then I noticed her hands trembling slightly. "Who is that?" I asked quietly. Her eyes met mine for the first time. Not cold. Not powerful. Human. My husband. The words hit like a punch. I frowned. "You're married?" "Technically." The speaker buzzed again. "Vivian," the man said calmly. "You can't hide forever." Then the line went dead. I swallowed hard. Outside the elevator, something dangerous was waiting. And somehow, I was trapped in the middle of it. "Your husband trapped us in here?" Vivian looked exhausted suddenly, like the question itself weighed 1,000 pounds. "He's not supposed to be here today." "That's not an answer." She exhaled slowly and sat down against the elevator wall, heels clicking softly against the floor. "I filed for divorce 3 weeks ago." "Well, that explained the tension." "He took it badly?" I asked. Her laugh was bitter. "Ethan, he threatened to ruin me." Outside, faint footsteps echoed through the elevator shaft area. Then silence again. My stomach tightened. "You really think he'd hurt you?" She looked directly at me. "Yes." No hesitation. No drama. Just truth. That scared me more than anything. I sat across from her. "Then why stay in the building?" Why not call the police? Because men like Adrian Steele don't lose publicly. The name hit me immediately. Adrian Steele. Her husband wasn't just rich. He was powerful too. Old money powerful. The kind of man with politicians at dinner parties and judges in his phone contacts. Suddenly this felt way above my pay grade. Vivian rubbed her temple tiredly. I was supposed to leave through private security downstairs. Someone changed the elevator routing. Meaning he knew exactly where I'd be. A cold chill crept down my spine. Then the elevator lights shut off completely. Darkness swallowed us. Vivian inhaled sharply. Without thinking, I reached toward her. My hand found hers instantly. Cold. Shaking. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then emergency backup lights flickered on dimly. And somehow, we were still holding hands. She looked down first. You shouldn't get involved in this. Little late for that. Another silence. Different this time. Closer. More dangerous. Then suddenly, bang. Something slammed hard against the elevator doors from outside. Vivian flinched violently beside me. A voice echoed faintly through the metal. You're running out of time. And for the first time in years, I think Vivian Steele realized she wasn't the one in control anymore. The next hit against the elevator doors was even louder. Bang. I stood immediately, adrenaline taking over. Hey! I shouted. Back off. A laugh echoed faintly from outside. Then footsteps disappeared again. Vivian closed her eyes briefly. He's playing games. You say that like it's normal. For Adrian? It is. I stared at her carefully now. Not as the untouchable CEO everyone feared, but as a woman carrying invisible bruises. Emotional ones. You loved him once, I said quietly. Her jaw tightened. I was 24. He was charming, brilliant, powerful, and very good at pretending. The elevator hummed softly around us. For the first time, she looked small sitting there. Lonely. You know what the worst part is? She whispered. Everyone thinks powerful women can't be victims. I didn't know what to say to that. Because she was right. People saw expensive clothes and confidence and assumed pain couldn't touch you. But pain doesn't care about status. I sat beside her slowly. Why tell me all this? She gave me a tired smile. Because you're the only person in this building who's looked at me like a human being all night. That hit harder than it should have. Outside, thunder rumbled faintly beyond the skyscraper windows. Rain hammered somewhere far above us. And inside that broken elevator, the world suddenly felt incredibly small. Then her phone buzzed. Both of us froze. No signal earlier, I said. There wasn't. A single message glowed on her screen. From Adrian. You always choose the wrong man. My stomach dropped. He knows I'm here, I whispered. Vivian looked horrified. Then another message arrived. Elevators can fail in unfortunate ways. For the first time all night, genuine fear hit me hard. Not anxiety. Not tension. Fear. Because suddenly this didn't feel like intimidation anymore. It felt like a threat. And somewhere above us in that massive building, someone was deciding whether we walked out alive. Hours passed. Or maybe it only felt that way. The rain outside grew heavier, drumming faintly through the building structure while the elevator remained frozen between floors like a trapped heartbeat. Vivian had taken off her heels by then. Strangely, that made her feel more real. More human. She sat beside me with her knees pulled slightly toward her chest, staring at nothing. I grew up poor, she said suddenly. I looked over. You? She nodded faintly. Trailer parks. 2 jobs at 16. Community college at night. That shocked me. The world painted people like Vivian Steele as born powerful. Not built from survival. My mother used to say power was the only thing that keeps people from hurting you, she continued softly. So I spent my whole life chasing it. And did it work? She looked at me sadly. No. That silence afterward felt painfully honest. I told her about my own life, my father dying when I was 19, helping my mom pay bills, giving up dreams because survival came first. And somehow, in that cramped elevator, walls started disappearing. Not corporate walls. Personal ones. At one point she laughed genuinely after I told her about accidentally emailing a meme to the entire finance department last year. It was beautiful. Not polished. Not rehearsed. Real. Then she looked at me quietly and said, "You know what scares me most?" "What?" "That when these doors open, this ends." My chest tightened unexpectedly. Because I'd been thinking the same thing. Out there, she was Vivian Steele. Untouchable billionaire CEO. And I was just Ethan. But in here? We were simply two lonely people trying to survive the night together. Then suddenly the elevator jolted violently. The lights flickered back to full brightness. A mechanical sound echoed overhead. "It's moving," I said. Vivian stood quickly beside me. Hope flashed across her face. The elevator slowly descended. Floor 21, 20, 19. Then it stopped again. And the speaker crackled alive. Adrian's voice returned. Cold this time. "No matter where you go, Vivian, you belong to me." Her face shattered completely. And I realized the woman beside me wasn't afraid of losing power. She was afraid she'd never truly be free. The elevator suddenly started descending again. Fast. Too fast. Vivian grabbed the railing instantly. "What's happening?" I shouted. Her face turned pale. "This isn't normal." The floor numbers blurred downward rapidly. 18, 17, 16. The entire elevator shook violently. Then came the terrifying sound. Metal screaming against metal. I hit the emergency stop button repeatedly. Nothing. "We're falling," I breathed. Vivian closed her eyes briefly like she already accepted it. But then, the brakes slammed hard. The elevator jerked to a brutal stop that threw both of us sideways. I hit the wall shoulder first. Vivian crashed into me. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Just heavy breathing. Pounding hearts. Then I realized she was crying silently against my chest. Not dramatic sobbing. Just quiet tears from someone who'd been strong for too long. "He's going to kill me," she whispered. "No. You don't understand, Adrian." "You're right," I said firmly. "But I understand fear. And I'm not leaving you alone with it." She looked up at me then. Really looked at me. Like she was seeing something she hadn't expected to find tonight. Safety. Then suddenly my phone buzzed. 1 bar of signal. A voicemail notification. Unknown number. I played it. A woman's voice filled the elevator. "If anything happens to me, Adrian did it." Vivian froze. "What is that?" "The voicemail came from your assistant," I said slowly. Her face lost all color. "She died 2 days ago." Silence. Horrible silence. Then realization crashed into both of us at once. This wasn't about divorce anymore. This was about covering something up. And Vivian Steele wasn't trapped in an elevator by accident. She was trapped because someone wanted her gone before she exposed the truth. The elevator doors suddenly pried open 3 inches. A crowbar shoved through the gap. Vivian stumbled backward immediately. "Vivian!" Adrian's voice echoed through the opening. "Come out. Now." I stepped in front of her instinctively. "I called security," I lied loudly. He laughed. "You think security works for her?" The gap widened slightly. Enough for me to finally see him. Perfect suit. Perfect hair. Dead eyes. The kind of man who smiled without warmth. "You," Adrian said, staring directly at me. "Move." "No." His expression darkened instantly. "You have no idea what she's done." Behind me, Vivian whispered shakily, "Don't listen to him." Adrian ignored her. "She stole my company. My future. My life." Vivian's voice cracked. "I saved this company while you buried women and paid people off." The elevator went silent. Even Adrian froze briefly. Then he smiled slowly. "That's what this is about." My heartbeat thundered. The voicemail. The dead assistant. The threats. Everything connected. Vivian grabbed my arm tightly. "He's been laundering money through the company for years. When my assistant found proof, she disappeared." Adrian's calm mask finally slipped. Pure rage appeared underneath. "You should have stayed quiet." He forced the doors wider violently. I shoved back with everything I had. Metal groaned. Adrian snarled, "You think she cares about you? Tomorrow she'll forget your name." But Vivian suddenly stepped forward beside me. "No," she said firmly. "I won't." And something changed in that moment. Not just between us. Inside her. For the first time, she stopped sounding afraid. She sounded powerful again. Not because of money. Because she finally wasn't alone anymore. Sirens echoed faintly somewhere above us. Adrian heard them too. His face twisted instantly. Vivian held up her phone with trembling fingers. I sent the files before the signal died. Adrian lunged forward in fury. The elevator doors burst wider. I slammed into him before he could reach her. We crashed hard into the narrow opening. Pain exploded through my ribs. Adrian punched me across the jaw. Everything blurred. Behind us, Vivian screamed my name. Then suddenly security voices thundered down the hallway outside. Step away from the elevator. Adrian froze. For one split second, panic appeared in his eyes. Then he ran. Security chased after him immediately. And just like that, it was over. The elevator doors finally opened fully. Fresh air rushed inside. But neither Vivian nor I moved. She dropped beside me instantly, holding my face carefully. "You idiot," she whispered tearfully. "Why would you do that?" I smiled weakly through the pain. "You looked like you needed someone." That broke her completely. Tears streamed down her face as she laughed softly at the same time. Then, without warning, she kissed me. Not polished. Not cinematic. Real. The kind of kiss born from fear, relief, exhaustion, and emotions neither of us could hide anymore. When she pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. And for the first time all night, Vivian Steele looked free. Not powerful. Not feared. Free. But deep down, I already knew. When morning came, everything would change. 3 months later, I stood outside a tiny coffee shop in Brooklyn staring at a newspaper headline. Adrian Steele indicted in corporate corruption scandal. The story was everywhere. Money laundering. Witness intimidation. Multiple arrests. Vivian's testimony destroyed an empire. And then she disappeared from public life completely. No interviews. No statements. No CEO appearances. People online created theories daily. Some claimed she fled the country. Others said she'd had a breakdown. But nobody knew the truth. Except me. The coffee shop bell chimed softly behind me. "You're late." I turned around instantly. Vivian stood there smiling. No designer heels. No security. No expensive coat. Just jeans, a loose sweater, and sunlight catching in her hair. Beautiful in a completely different way. Peaceful. "You cut your hair," I said stupidly. She laughed softly. "And you still stare when you're nervous." For a moment we simply looked at each other. No elevators. No danger. No billion-dollar pressure crushing the air around us. Just two people. "You really walked away from everything?" I asked quietly. She nodded. "I spent my whole life building an empire because I thought power would save me." Her eyes locked onto mine. Turns out, love did. That hit me harder than any dramatic speech ever could. Then she reached into her pocket and handed me something. An elevator keycard. I laughed immediately. "Seriously?" She smiled mischievously. "One last ride?" I looked at her hand. Then at her eyes. And this time, I took the chance before the doors could close.